Heroes are all well and good, but when it comes to a great anime, there's almost always an iconic villain bringing them to new heights. That's why we are here today to rank the top 10 best anime villains of all times. And warnings, spoilers ahead for the people who still haven't watched the full anime adaptations. So, getting on with the list. At number 10, we have Toichiro Suzuki from Mob Psycho 2. The saying that power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Great men are always bad men fits perfectly for Mob Psycho 2's Toichiro Suzuki. Ever since middle school, this powerful Esper succeeded in everything he did, all thanks to his natural magical powers. These psychic powers only improved as time went on, causing Suzuki to rely on them more and more, giving him confidence along the way. The older he got, the more brash he became, acting the complete opposite of Mob, thinking that this power made him untouchable. This causes him to plot world domination as he founds Claw for that purpose. Over the next 20 years, he recruits, manipulates, and kidnaps Espers to form an army to accomplish his goals of world domination at any cost. Suzuki is the first real threat the show presents, as his fights with Mob is one that we aren't actually sure the lovable young protagonist can actually win for once. There is also plenty of nuances to the character, as the show features plenty of backstory about his family that comes back around for a satisfying payoff in the end. At number 9, we have Rachel from Tower of God. The best antagonists in anime are usually the ones you never see coming. Doubly so when you not only consider them to be the protagonist's friend, but also his reason for living and possibly the love interest. That is what makes Rachel in Tower of God so deliciously despicable at the end of season 1. Throughout the entire season of Tower of God, we are led to believe that Bam will be able to find the person who saved him, as that is all he's ever wanted. It doesn't take long for him to do that, as he finds Rachel just a few episodes in. The weird part is, she denies being the girl he's looking for until a bit down the line. When Bam eventually finds out she is indeed Rachel, he not only forgives her, but even puts his life at stake at climbing the tower on the line for her to make sure she can climb it too. All of this only to be pushed to his supposed death when they were on the verge of succeeding by Rachel, who was faking being crippled in order to lull Bam into a situation where he was vulnerable. A flashback shows how unhinged Rachel has become since first meeting Bam, as she became jealous of his natural abilities with the magic of Shinshu and even his talent of making friends. Feeling he would leave her behind, she chose to try and kill him while also lying about his death for pity. As the prologue ends, she states that she is now the protagonist, not knowing that Bam survived and surely returned looking for answers. At number 8, we have Garou from One Punch Man. Garou is a classic example of what happens when society isn't kind to children, turning them into monsters as a result. In Garou's case, that is actually kind of literal. When he was younger, Garou never ended up getting picked as a hero when he'd play heroes versus monsters with the younger kids. Since the heroes always win in the end, the youngster would always be on the side of losing things. Due to this, he began to sympathize with the monster's plight of always losing, even rooting for them when watching TV shows, hoping they could pull out a win. When he got older, Garou took this to a new extreme, honing his martial arts skills to the point where he's almost unstoppable and using them to become the ultimate monster. In a few episodes, we see him take down a ridiculous amount of top tier heroes. He becomes so dangerous that a group of high ranking heroes from the association band together and attack him while he is injured. Yet, he is still able to come on top. Like a lot of other villains on this list, Garou isn't just a clean cut bad guy though. He's shown to care for children, even putting his life on the line for one of them. Also, despite how much he talks about killing his opponent, just about everyone we have seen him fight doesn't die, though he does brutalize them. This depth makes him one of the most interesting characters in all of One Punch Man. At number 7, we have Washijo Tanji from Haikyuu. It is hard to really say that anyone is a villain in Haikyuu, as even the antagonists are really just players that want to win, even if they can be annoying or blunt about it. If anyone fits the role of a villain in the show, though, it would definitely be Washijo Tanji, introduced for the first time during the finals. This Shira Torizawa is as ruthless as they come in volleyball, valuing height above anything. Now that isn't to say he doesn't use his players that have skills to his advantage, but when it comes down to it, the tallest player will always get the most attention. This mindset doesn't even change when he sees how well Shoyo Hinata, who is considerably short for a volleyball player, does against them, choosing not to invite him to the All Japan Youth Camp when it was clear he was deserving. When the eager Karasuno middle blocker sneaks into the camp, the coach doesn't let him play making him to be ball boy to players he had already beaten. At number 6, we have Walter C. Dornes from Hellsing. Throughout the entirety of the Hellsing series, fans came to love Walter Dornes, as the butler's banter with Alucard and his loyalty to Integra made for him an excellent character. As the show goes on though, we see that jealousy towards the vampire has grown too great, driving him to the Millennium and a path towards villainy. Eventually, Walter ends up fighting against Alucard and Integra, doing his best to kill the vampire in a one-on-one fight with his new powers. At one point during the fight, he reveals that he foresaw Richard's attempted coup d'etat and assassination attempts and did nothing to stop it. This was just one of the many dastardly deeds Walter ended up committing, making him a villain in secret almost all along. His betrayal is still one of the hardest ones to stomach in all of anime, as he really was a likable character that just let a thirst for power consume him, turning him from an anime hero to an anime villain. At number 5, we have Gendo Ikari from Evangelion series. Gendo Ikari symbolizes everything someone shouldn't aim to be as a father or as a person. After abandoning his son, Shiji, following the loss of his wife, Gendo gets back in touch with him once he realizes Shinji is the key to piloting the EVA Unit 01 and fighting off giant alien monsters known as angels. Despite Shinji's opposition to the idea and the dangers he would be put in by piloting it, Gendo pressures him until he agrees. From there, he keeps up this emotional abuse to keep Shinji in the cockpit, always wearing away at the boy's psyche. Worse yet, it's revealed he didn't even care about saving the world. Instead, he wished to sabotage an evil plan by his superiors and reshape the world in his own image, sacrificing Shinji in the process. Or at least, that's the best idea most viewers have of his ambition. Like the series he's in, his plans can be a bit vague, and his final plot comes almost out of nowhere only to fail just as fast. As a result, he's easily one of the most self-serving anime villains around, with his poor parenting skills only worsening his image with time. At number 4, we have All for One from My Hero Academia. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, or at least it did for My Hero Academia's big bad All for One. Blessed with the quirk to steal any person's superpower and use it as his own, All for One used his abilities to take over the world and established a near insurmountable regime. He then maintained it with his sharp intellect, outwitting his opponents with devious plans. Innocents were killed or left to live in fear, all while the world sunk into chaos most thought inescapable. They would have stayed that way if not for All Might and his mentor's effort to topple him. Even after being defeated though, his plans remained in motion. Now, however, they centered around torturing those who defeated him. So far, this has taken the form of raising the grandchild of All Might's mentor into a villain and helping him form a league of villains to disrupt the peace made in his absence. Really, all that holds him back from ranking higher is the fact that he still has room to improve. With the series ongoing and his life still unextinguished, there's no telling what else he has in store for the world of heroes. At number 3, we have Mahito from Jujutsu Kaisen. While it is completely understandable that, like humans, cursed spirits want to live a full and free life in accordance with their own beliefs, that doesn't justify the terrible actions of Mahito in Jujutsu Kaisen. Ever since the blue-haired, stitched-up spirit arrives on the scene in the show, nothing but bad things occur. In a few short episodes, he places the Sakuna finger at Junpei's house, getting her killed by an evil spirit. As soon as he finds her body, the young boy is then manipulated by Mahito into fighting Yuji and causing havoc throughout the school. As soon as Mahito accomplishes his goal of luring Yuji and Sukuma to the school, he then transfers Junpei into a spirit right in front of his friend, effectively killing him. All of this, and the villain has only appeared in like a quarter of the episode of the series so far. With more seasons sure to flesh him out even more, Mahito is going to be one scary anime villain. He shows little to no remorse for his action, thinking of them more as a game, and it seems like he's only sure to get stronger the older he gets. At number 2, we have Sosuke Aizen from Bleach. Cunning, calculated, and always ready to a backup plan, Sosuke Aizen is the definition of a scheming mastermind. Initially portraying himself as one of Bleach's most pacifistic soul reapers, this evil genius had his ambitions of overthrowing the order of the Soul Society and escalating his own powers for 9 decades. All the while, he planned and plotted meticulously for every outcome and possibility. Even the birth and arrival of Ichigo Kurosaki comes as little surprise to him. With his plans factoring in his arrival to use the wild card to his advantage. This escalates to the point of being convoluted and a stretch at times. But most often than not, it distinguishes him as a true threat to the protagonist's strategy of making it up as they go along. In the end, it's only through the entire cast of characters coming together against him that he's taken down. Even then, he's only detained and his powers, too great, are fully extinguished. This leaves him to sit in solitude for eternity, watching the Soul Society continue to march on and plotting his next great V for power. And at number 1, we have Griffith from Berserk. Griffith did nothing wrong, at least not by his own rise and ambitions. A peasant who grew up to become the leader of his own mercenary band, Griffith was a self-driven man who pursued his desires with unparalleled efficiency. No matter the situation or obstacle, he found a way to overcome them, whether that meant facing down an army of 1,000 or assassinating our country's leaders. All the while, he amassed a legion of friends and followers who would follow him to hell and back, caring for him as much or more than he cared for them. As a result, they were dragged down with him when his ambition saw him imprisoned, tortured, and maimed. They cared little though, risking life and limb to save him and help him salvage a life with what he had left. That wasn't enough for Griffith though. When given the option to become a demon and continue the pursuit of his dream, he wholeheartedly accepted, even though it came at the cost of sacrificing the life of each and every one of his friends and allies. So yes, Griffith did nothing wrong by himself. By everyone else though, he did them the worst of injustice and continues to do so with each breath he takes as arguably the worst anime villain of all time. So this is the list for the top 10 greatest villains of all time in animes. I may have missed a few names, so do comment down below the names that you thought were missing from this list and the names that you would replace them with. So until next time, this is Otaku One Shot signing off. Do like, share and subscribe for more further videos down the line.